Good morning, everyone. Welcome into our Saturday morning coaches show. I'm Don Julian, and we've got baseball and softball for you on this Saturday morning coaches show. So stay dry, sit in, and just watch the show today and enjoy it. And I know things will dry out eventually, hopefully, by the time the fields need to be played on next week with stuff going on. I noticed on Game Changer today that North Hopkins got rained out in their game over there. The coach had said it was pouring down as he wrote into Game Changer. And Coach Hammack also was scheduled to have a game at Rowlett, Coach, and you lost that one by rain today also.
Yes, and you kind of suspected it was going to happen. If a weatherman says it's 100% chance of rain, you got to pretty well believe they know it's coming. If you have any doubts, just say it's 90% chance, and you can give yourself some margin for error. But yeah, we were supposed to play our three teams were supposed to play. Freshmen were going to go to Hallsville. We were going to go to Rowlett, and Rowlett's JV was coming here to play. So all three had to get canceled, and they won't be made up, unfortunately.
Yeah, too bad on that. So rain having an impact today. As far as other things are going on, it's a relatively light week, but the beginning of spring football gets underway. That'll be Wednesday and Thursday over at Multipurpose Building. And Coach Owens also announced, in case you had not heard, and we haven't put much out on this yet because of other things that are going on, but the spring game, now everything's tentative and could change at any moment, and every week could be a different week based on something that's going on. The spring game has been moved to Friday, May 17th, instead of the 16th on a Thursday. So that the latest news on the spring football. And track does have their big area meet this week. It'll be on Wednesday at Pine Tree. I think the Wildcats are sending 9 athletes. I don't know if there's any baseball players, Coach, that you can think of. I don't think so. Not in that group this year. 13 Lady Cats, and I know Coach Carrillo at least has Abby Bayer, but again, that's on a Wednesday, and that's a non-playing day for baseball and softball anyway. They will be playing on Thursday because of Good Friday coming up, and the game's always moved to Thursday. So we'll be talking about that with Coach Hammack and Coach Carrillo. And now we've got Coach Hammack, and I think all district long you've been looking for a well-pitched game and a well-played game on defense, and you got both of them last night.
We did, and it was good to see. You're right; it's a long time coming, and that was something though that we've been used to over the years, getting right. Well pitched games, and Jackson threw extremely well. I told him after the game, it's really nice calling pitches when your pitcher is hitting the spots you want, and I think he ended up with 75 pitches for a 7-inning ball game, which is
incredible,
practically unheard of. He did not walk anybody, although I think he may have had a couple of hitters. He started 3-0, but he fought back and maybe struck one out and got the other to ground out, so I think he gave up 3 hits. And one was maybe the first pitch of the game, a bloop single to the leadoff man. So really then just 2 more the rest of the way. So he gave us a chance to win. Our defense played extremely well. We made the plays we were supposed to make, which is really all you ask, and did enough offensively, to get 4 runs across. We did strand some runners throughout the game, but did enough. And that's just kind of been our formula for the last 14 years, was what you saw Friday. Last night. We just haven't been able to do that consistently enough this year.
At Jackson, obviously, I remember one really sweeping curveball that I was afraid it might fool the umpire, because that does happen from some time, but he really broke one off in there. But was it spotting the fastball? You think that was really the key to his success last night?
It was, and we try to move the ball both sides of the plate, up and down, and just try to mix it, where they don't get comfortable with what we're throwing. But again, the pitcher has to be able to do that. If he doesn't, then you just have to basically go back to just throwing fastballs in the zone, and people can hit it. So he was, we were getting a little bit off the plate outside, which is, good for us, because if you can hit that spot, Ed, the umpire, was giving it to us, and so just really finding where he wanted to throw and hit his spots and working fast. Stayed in a good rhythm, and then again the defense is ready. When you work fast and you're throwing strikes, the defense is probably more into the game than if a pitcher's struggling and throwing a lot of balls and getting to a lot of full counts. They can tend to fall asleep out there. But it seemed like everybody was ready to play and was in sync together. And it's when that happens, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Absolutely. My neighbor too, Colson Hale, had a big ball game with 3 RBIs. Hit a sacrifice fly and then a big double. Also had a really well hit single to left field, but that didn't score any runs. But the double plated too. He just hit it out there where nobody was, out in I think right center, I believe.
Yeah, Colson's a neat kid. He likes to talk. He likes to talk about politics, and he thinks he's an astronomer, and he knows a lot about the sky and the stars, and he doesn't mind telling you. And he's just been a really good teammate. He brings, a lot of energy out there, whether he's playing or he's not playing. He's really the same. He's not one that will pout if he's on the bench, and when he gets a chance to play, you're going to get 100% effort. And I was tickled to death. Yeah, I guess, batted second, and he laced that line drive to left, and then he comes back up and then gets the sac fly. And then the big blow, of course, was the double in right center gap that you said, and plated 2. So he had, I think, 3 of our RBIs.
Yes, he did. He had all of them.
Right, that's all we had was 3 out of the 4, and so big night for him. He made his plays on defense, and like I said, he just brings a certain you could kind of say a kid's love, of the game, and he's just really enthusiastic about it. And I think every player on our team would tell you, that they love Colson and having him around, and just the energy he brings to the team.
All right. Austin Dodd continues his assault on the Greenville pitching staff. He was 5 for 5 on Tuesday. We talked about that. Had another couple of hits last night, including a huge triple that he got. And so Austin Dodd continuing to swing well with that.
Yeah, I think he seems to like the 5-hole. And even his out was a line drive to center. And Coach Silman got our mower sharpened, and he mowed it, and the field looks just wonderful. I mean, it's as good as it's looked, and it's short stint, but kind of having it that smooth low, that line drive. It looked like maybe it's just going to be a single, but it just kept scooting through and got into the gap. Yeah. And with his speed, he's had several triples this year, and it was big, and he's got a lot of confidence, I think, where he is. And of course, I guess I should have made that move a long time ago, but it's been really good. Yeah, I think he's about 7 for 8 maybe since he's been moved to the 5-hole. So we'll certainly keep putting him there.
Any thought of sending him home? I think that when he hit third, the second baseman was actually receiving the ball. He was out a little bit, maybe out in the outfield grass, but that would have been taking a big chance, I guess. You never want to make that first out at home base.
Well, and of course that's what the so-called book says, but I've probably been more aggressive this year than my wife tells me I'm not aggressive enough as the third base coach and sending people home. But we've had a couple of guys thrown out at the plate this year, so maybe I'm becoming too aggressive. But it did come into my head as he was approaching third, but since it was a pretty clean relay to him and he caught it, like you said, we had no outs, and so there are lots of ways we can score him from there, and of course he ended up scoring. So maybe with 1, certainly with 2, probably would have tried him just because it's hard to get 2 hits in a row with 2 outs in an inning, and so maybe take that chance the more outs you have. But with no outs, it was probably the right call.
Yeah, and that brings up a point that was wondering what had happened. I think I know what happened, but it looked like you were trying to steal the run when Dodd was on third. You had Thompson kind of wander off the base and kind of get himself in a rundown. Now, they didn't execute very well because they threw behind him, and it was a bounce throw, and it bounced away from the first baseman, so Thompson just rolls into second base, and Dodd comes home. Was that the play where you're trying to get the hot box there and try to score him from third? Or?
Well, I'm not going to take any credit for that. Thompson just, I don't know what he was doing. He did not get that signal. We were trying to.
Or something.
Right. He just, sometimes guys that have been around, and then not all of them, but kind of give them a little, particularly Dodd. Dodd's got a green light at first when he wants to go because I want him to feel it and see it and sense it. And so I pretty well let him steal when he wants to. Thompson's a good base runner without question as well, and he must have seen something that he thought he could do because I did not give him a signal for anything like that. He just, sometimes your players have to make plays, and you don't want to be so robotic about everything and dictate every single thing that they do because it takes away from creativity and instinct and things of that nature. Now, you don't want to go the other extreme either and just do silly things and get yourself, run yourself out of innings. But he has proven to be a really good base runner, so he has earned, that thought process, and obviously it worked.
Yeah, even a good throw from the catcher. He was moving on towards second once they threw behind him. It would have been a close play, and he very likely could have gotten in there on the play, even with a good throw down to first base, I think.
Yeah, and you were there Tuesday night. I mean, he did another really good base running thing when he actually scored from first on a ball that they were lazy getting back into the infield. He went first to third, but when he turned and looked and they still hadn't really got the ball in, he just goes ahead and goes home. And not everybody would be able to do that or see that or take that chance. But he's I could come up with numerous examples throughout the year where he has been a plus base runner for us and did something that most people don't do.
All right, let's take our first internal break here, and we'll come back and wrap it up with Coach Hammack right after this break. And back here on the Saturday morning coaches show. Coach, as I was looking at Game Changer with your Wildcat report on there from last night, I was curious about the only thing that in my book and what you had that was different was it looked like a bunt attempt by Bergen that I called a sacrifice, and I guess your ruling was that he was really bunting for a hit rather than laying down a sacrifice, and he got thrown out at first. It took a great play to get him. It was a beautiful bunt.
Well, I've got a young man who does my Game Changer, and I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. That's a sack. Yeah. To me, even if he is trying for a bunt base hit, and it was a really good bunt. And as soon as it was laid down, I thought he would beat it out because Connor runs really well. But that little pitcher who ended up making another great play when he moved to second. Just a real good player, solid player, athletic player, and he made a really nice play and a throw because most of the time that bunt is a base hit, and most of the time Will's ball up the middle would have been a hit. Even if they get to it, that's probably still a hit. But he just made another great play. But no, it should have been a sacrifice, and I'm no electronics genius, but I'll try to figure out how to fix that on the Game Changer.
And when Koger made that play on the bunt, he was a pitcher for Greenville. I commented that I believed he was a middle infielder, and truly he is a second baseman most of the time. That's what he played Tuesday night, and then after his pitching was over in that last inning, he moved to second base. And it kind of reminded me of Ryan Humphreys when you used to have him out there, and that's a shortstop that's pitching. And you talk about being able to field your position, that's a really good situation.
Oh, it's a definite plus. And you're right, Ryan was a very good defender off the mound, and so you could bunt it either side, and it didn't matter if you have certain areas the pitcher's supposed to cover, and depending on where the runners are in bunt situations, first and third have to do it, but Ryan could go either side and make a play, and I think that Koger kid could as well. Yeah, if a pitcher can field his position and you have a good athlete out there, lots of plays can be made. And which makes me think of that play. It was a big league play that Jackson made on that ground ball back through the middle where
oh my gosh,
threw his glove behind his back and it just happened to find it.
Look what
you
I
see
found.
that in Major League highlights,
Yeah.
a few times a year
absolutely.
where they just they don't have any other choice but to try to swing that glove behind them, and it just happened to go in. That's one of the better plays you'll see.
Oh yeah, that was a beauty. That one, I just came unglued on that one up in the booth. That was just a fabulous play because it is just kind of look what I found. It's your only chance. It's back behind your back, and you just throw the glove back there, and it stuck right in there. So it was a beautiful play. I'd forgotten about that one, but you reminded me when you talked about that. Real quickly, Mount Pleasant week coming up for you. Now the reason the Greenville win was so big last night, if you do, for one reason or the other, end up tied with them, you now have the tiebreaker on them because you beat them 2 out of 3.
Right. And we don't have the tiebreaker on Royce City, which is hopefully won't play into it, but it could. And, of course, Mount Pleasant is a few games ahead. We've given them one of their few losses, and we have them next week, which we have to sweep them. I mean, let's just be honest. We have to sweep them, and then we would own that series if somehow, we were getting into a tie with them. But we're still in charge, I think, of our own destiny if you win completely out. Which won't be easy with T-High in the last week, but we're certainly capable of doing it, playing the kind of baseball we played last night. If we play like we did last night the rest of the way, I'll live with it no matter what happens and feel good about it. I've gotten to a point in my career, losses aren't really what bothers me if you play well and the other team just plays better.
Right.
What really still eats at me is when you lose and you basically were responsible for it, giving it away in some form or fashion. I'll take last night against anybody we play at any time, anywhere, and live comfortably and peacefully with the results. So I feel like we're certainly capable of winning the last 4. But I'm not going to discount any help that we may or may we may get from other teams as we move forward. Royce City's got a big one against Mount Pleasant. They finished together at the end, and I guess depending on how next week goes, figure out who we really need to to win that. Hopefully Greenville could help us out next week. I think they play Royce City, so if somehow they could, they're scrappy and they're going to hang in there. And Koger's a good player. The lefty's a good pitcher if he's on. So, I mean, there's a lot of ball to be played and a lot can happen. We just have to focus on what we can do and play our very best and see what happens.
Yeah, we have been chasing Royce City. Well, it's kind of hard to chase with both teams losing. They kept giving us opportunities, but we couldn't take advantage. And then we win, and they win too.
Right.
So they still got a game lead on us, and they've got the tiebreaker. So we have to not only catch them, but hop over them. So basically try to make up 2 games on them. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But it certainly, I said at the end of my story last night, a step in the right direction. Finally, moving forward instead of just keep slipping back.
Absolutely. It was a well-played game, the kind that, a baseball enthusiast would like. And you just want to play clean and make the plays you're supposed to make, and your pitchers pitching well and then just doing good things, offensively. And that's what we want to do. And if we can do that the rest of the way, we can live with whatever the results are, because that's really all we can control at this point. I can't dwell on what we haven't done or, all of that. We just have to move forward with 4 games, starting with Mount Pleasant, and prepare ourselves. That's a good thing about this group, in spite of all if it could go wrong, it seems like it has gone wrong for us, whether you're talking about bang plays seem to always go against us, or, we just kind of shoot ourselves in the foot here and there. And I've seen some plays happen that just you don't see very often that we've done. But, boy, these guys have been resilient, which to me is a good life lesson, and we still come to the park at practice with the idea that we're wanting to be there, we're going to get better, and we're going to have fun. And and that's a good thing, because playing like we had been playing, and then if the players are ready to quit, it can be a miserable thing. But you don't see that at all with anybody on this bunch. And so, we're still forging ahead together. I think we reaped the benefit of that last night, and hopefully we can do so moving forward.
All right. Good game last night. Wildcats beat Greenville by the score of 4-0. And it'll be fun these last 2 weeks. And it's Mount Pleasant week coming up. Game at home on Tuesday and at Mount Pleasant on Thursday before Easter. And let's take a break here. Coach David Carrillo coming along to tell us about one of the most exciting Lady Cats games maybe ever. It was real exciting last night, and we'll talk about it right after this. And back here on Saturday Morning Coaches Show, Coach David Carrillo is with us. And wow, what a ball game last night. Big crowd there. I guess a good rowdy crowd. And I'm sure even some of the most avid fans maybe had a little bit of doubt going into the 7th inning last night, down to Lindale by 2 runs. Lindale had just scored 3, gone up 6-4. They just needed 3 outs. And I don't think it's fair to ask you how this ranks in your victories, because it just happened last night and had to be feeling so sweet. I don't think your feet touched the ground coming in the door this morning. You were high off the ground, and a walk-off home run. Coach, tell us about the bottom of the 7th.
Well, they came in and, we just gave up 3 in the top of the 7th. And, they were a little down 6-4. And I told them, I turned around and I told them that, hey, don't be down. We still get to bat. And in my mind, I knew we had 2, 3, and 4 coming up. So, even though we were down, if you don't believe it, it ain't going to happen. You can sit there and, have some stinking thinking and just be negative and get mad about those 3 runs that we gave up in the top of the 7th. But we were now at a point where we need to figure out how can we make up those 3 runs now, because it already happened. It's time to go on. Mm-hmm. And knowing that we had 2, 3, and 4, I still, in my mind, I really believed it. I did this, and I promised I did this. I had my phone in my pocket, and it kind of bothers me when I jump up and down. So I told the girls, I'm fixing to put my phone in my bag, because when I celebrate, I don't want this thing bothering me. And sure enough, got the walk, and then Kate Womack with the excellent at-bat. She had to fight off a couple pitches, and she finally got the one that she wanted, and that ball just kept carrying, and there you go. And I'm glad I took my phone out, because I think I hurt myself jumping up and down, running around like a wild man. But that's why you play the game. And my hat's off to Lindale. Those girls fought, great effort. Their coach is a great lady. She does a good job with their kids, and a great bunch of girls. And it's one of those games where it's a shame somebody had to lose. And and I did text her that last night, that those girls have a lot of class. And what a ball game. I was telling everybody that this was like a playoff game, because those kids, they were excited. They had just got beat by Roy City actually on Tuesday night, 11-1. And they had something to prove, and they were going to give us their best, and they definitely did. And we had to fight, crawl, scratch, and do whatever, but we got it figured out, and we figured out a way to win. And again, our girls just didn't quit. Sometimes when you get put against the 8 ball, you don't know what's going to happen. But for the most part, in recent years, our girls they're just scrappy. They're just going to fight. They're not going to give up, and they're going to give it. It may fall short sometimes, but I just look at it as we just ran out of innings. That's it. Because if you gave us some more time, we could come back and win. But last night was an awesome night.
Yeah, great moment for Kate Womack with that big home run. But you know what? If those 2 and 3 hitters hadn't gotten on base, that would have been a solo home run, and you would have still been 1 run down. So 2 and 3 hitters, they did their job too to start that inning off the right way.
They just worked the pitcher. Allie got on with the walk, and same thing Brinkley. And you're sitting over there thinking, at first you're believing you can, and you're sitting there trying to figure out how to do it as a coach, and how can we score some runs? And of course you got to have base runners. So when you set the table with 2, then when you saw Kate, we had the rest of our order coming up, in your mind, and I think in the girls' mind, the belief factor was even rising up even higher. And and for Kate to do what she did again, that I will say, in 30 years of coaching, it was probably one of the most exciting, times I could probably put in top 10. I'm sure, because it's just exciting when you have a walk off like that, and the crowd was going crazy, and it was just exciting. It was like a playoff game, and again, we need to get ready for that, because Tuesday night fixing to be a barn burner again. So we've got payback. We've got to go show right now. Mount Pleasant, came up there. I mean, we went over there and we laid an egg, and we've been talking about this moment since that egg got laid. It's time to put up now because we said that this is the moment, and of course that game will be a district championship game, I believe. So we win it, we get the district championship, and it's in our hands. So we're gonna have to go out and play. I feel our girls are hitting the ball really well right now, and I feel a lot better at the way we're hitting now than we were back then going into that Mount Pleasant game the first time. So I think it's going to be a little bit different ball game. I mean, they're going to be ready to play, but we're going to be ready to play too. And so, fireworks. Everybody needs to come.
Yeah, I think, since the Mount Pleasant game, we talked about the pitching machine and how you got away from that and everything, and just how the hitting has just exploded. 10-run ball games, the first couple had double-digit hits, and then even you kind of toyed with the 10-run rule over in Greenville, but you still got double-digit hits. I think you got 10 hits last night. That's another double-digit night.
Yes, and we also, I know Allie Fight hit the ball hard at least one time that there was a few players that actually hit the ball hard. It just got, hit it at them. So, our outs are hard outs. They're not just, outs that are just, we're just either striking. We're not striking out. We're hitting the ball hard, putting it in play for the most part. So, I don't know what it is. It's just after that Mount Pleasant game, we've just kind of went back to basics, just the little simple things, didn't put too much pressure on we're just learning how to hit certain pitches, but we're not putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, I think, and it's just kind of happening. So just sometimes change is good, and just kind of doing some things a little bit different has helped us, and I really believe that's what has helped us to get to this point right now.
Earlier in that game, obviously a lot of late inning stuff. You tend to forget what happened earlier, but they jump out to a 3-0 lead just right off the get-go, and you get one of them back in the bottom of the first when Brinkley Driver. We talked about her good at bat getting a walk, and she hits one out of the park too, and that was a 3-1 game that kind of got you back on the road to getting back to easy.
Yeah, I told him when we got down by 3 that we don't need a lot of runs right now. We just need to chip away and kind of just it's going to happen. And I felt like, as the game progressed that we would hit this girl because she was kind of tailor-made for us, I feel like. She threw the ball hard, but, we like those kind of pitchers. So, that one, even Brinkley was going, I hit this girl better than anyone in the district, and she probably does. And, when she was able to get a hold of one. But, they put that other pitcher in the middle innings, and we kind of struggled with her a little bit. I mean, we still were able to put the ball in play, but we didn't score a whole lot of runs on her. But when they brought the other girl back, then the fireworks erupted again. So, there was a lot of things involved in the middle of the game to get to the point to tie it up and to actually take the lead. But, again, our girls just kept fighting. And, there was a lot of runners we left on the table, too. And one of them, we had bases loaded with no outs and hit a pop fly to center, short fly, and I sent her. And, you got to take a chance sometimes, and I was willing to do that right then. And, gets us 2 outs, and then we still had runners on second, third, and then we got another pop-up to end the inning. So that was a lot of runners left on the table too. And, just like I tell the kids, I'm never going to get on them for making a hustle play. And, I told them, hey, that's on me, but I don't ever take back for being aggressive, especially early. You have to be, because you never know when you're going to have that opportunity again. And sometimes girls throw it away. It didn't work out for us this time, but most of the time it does. But you go on, and our girls, again, just continued to fight and get to that point where Kate Womack was able to hit that 3-run homer at the end.
Yeah, most of the time you kind of calculate if it's going to take a really, really good throw, you go ahead and go for it. But I mean, how many times have you seen if you just get a team sometime to throwing the ball around, that ball will just go everywhere?
Oh, yeah. I mean, sometimes the whole complexion of a game changes on just a simple bunt. You could bunt the ball, throw it out in the right field, and they all fall apart. And it takes them about, maybe the rest of the inning, sometimes 2 innings to get over that kind of stuff. So, that's part of the game. And, those are key factors. If you can't make the plays and you start giving things away, then of course your team's mental capacity, they're going to fall apart sometimes, but you just got to hope you can get it together after a mistake. That's what I'm trying to teach our kids, because I feel like we need to be mentally tougher all the time, because in softball, baseball, any sport really, they're not going to go your way all the time. You're always going to have that sudden change where you may get a bad call, or you strike out, or you make an error, but sudden change happens, and when it does, you have to be able to handle adversity and get through that. And that's why I try to teach the girls that you have to stay strong in your convictions of your confidence of how you do things, what you do, and those things will carry over when those bad times happen, because you're going to know, hey, I've done this before. I can do this. It's just something that happened one time, but I got to shake it off and go on. And I'm not that coach that's going to bite your head off because you make a mistake. We all make mistakes. That's life. Another life lesson. It is, and you got to have grace and you got to go on. And that's what I try to tell our kids. You can't worry about that. You got to go on. It's happened, but we got to figure out what we need to do to this point to be successful. And that's why I like that 3-run inning they had. My thought wasn't we were going to lose or, oh crap, we just gave up 3 runs. My thought was, hey, we need to figure out how to get these 3 runs back and get the 2 runs back, to get tie it or get into the lead. And that's my thought process.
There you can bet your legend kind of grew because they say, Coach Carrillo told us that we were going to win that game, and we did. They'll never forget that.
No, I think I scare them sometimes because I do that a lot, and it always ends up happening. I'll get them to the side and I just, hey, it happened at Little Elm last year. I just say we're not going to lose. It's happened a couple times this year, but you got to think on that kind of mindset because, there's so many times that I think you get beat mentally already, and you have to give yourself a chance to win. And if you have a wrong mindset, it's just not going to happen. You're already beaten. And even like I said, I still don't believe we lose games. I just think we run out of innings sometimes. So you learn, and I think our girls, this was a big step in learning that, hey, you know what? Well, we can do this. And their confidence right now is pretty high. Even though they got kicked around a little bit, their confidence level is really high. And again, Lindell, great team, great coach. It's a shame somebody had to lose because that was a great ball game. If you missed it, it was an incredible game. That to me was why you played the game. The excitement, the fans, and I just remember hearing the craziness after Kate hit the 3-run homer. It was wild, and that was an exciting moment, and those are memories that these kids will never forget.
Absolutely, and all the fans, a big crowd last night, they won't forget that either. No. Let's take our third internal break, our last one here, and we'll come back and wrap it up with Coach Carrillo. Big week coming up, and we'll talk about it right after this. And back here on the Saturday Morning Coaches Show, talking with Lady Cats coach David Carrillo after an exciting ball game last night. A walk-off home run, 3-run homer in the bottom of the 7th. Kate Womack, and the Wildcats win, or Lady Cats win, excuse me. Wildcats did too, but Lady Cats win 7-6. We talked about with Coach Hammack. He's got Mount Pleasant week. It's kind of Mount Pleasant week for you. It's actually Tiger week, or Lady Tiger week. You've got Mount Pleasant on Tuesday. Go to Texas High on Thursday, and you and once again your buddy Jeremy Tarrant, and you guys always hook up with the big ones, and he's got a lot of pride. He loves those district championships he's gotten. You had the district championship last year, trying to repeat, and it just they've got 2 losses, I guess. You've got 1, and so. But if they win, it's a tie, and they've got all the breakers in.
Yeah, so we need to win on Thursday. It's if we want to win the district championship, we have to win on Tuesday. So I think our girls understand that. They know that. I think we do have a lot of intangibles in our favor, because sometimes when you get beat and you get down a little bit, you want to make up, especially if you knew you just didn't play well or know you didn't play well. So our girls have something to prove, and I've been telling them, they are the defending district champions, and until something happens this year, they are. So, that being said, I feel like our girls will be ready to play. It'll be senior night. It'll be an emotional night, but I think our girls again will be ready. They're going to show up. We're going to get after it. There's some things that I think that we did not do well the last time that I think we can fix. And I think we have been fixing them, actually, because after that game, we've kind of changed the way we've done some things. So they'll see a little bit different team, and I expect a game where nobody's going to give up, nobody's going to quit. It's going to be a barn burner, but both teams are going to get after it, and, hopefully the outcome will be a little bit different this time.
Now, one thing you said in not this game, but the one before, was how that you'd kind of changed the players' approaches to hitting the ball where it's pitched. If it's thrown outside, you go to right field with it. You were very successful In I guess the Greenville game they did that, and did that continue
Yeah,
last night?
yes, it did. But she throws a little bit differently than most pitchers. She's just trying to go out there and blow it by you, you know.
Mm.
But for the most part, we are doing a good job of hitting it where it's pitched. This is probably the best job I can actually say with confidence that we've been doing that. If it's on the corner, we're gonna drive it, and
Mm.
that's been the big change. I think you get to a habit where you want to pull those outside pitches, and if they're inside, we're doing a really good job of turning on it, and
Mm.
that's what kind of forces them because teams start seeing you're hitting those outside pitches, they're going to come inside and we're going to turn on it and we're going to take it,
Mm.
and that's what we've been doing a really good job of working on and doing. You know, high school softball, all those pitchers want to stay outside, they want to keep outside. You know, for the majority of the time, and most people want to try to pull it, and you just don't hit it very hard. They don't understand that you got to be patient and drive it and hit it where it's pitched.
Mm.
You know, I always tell people you can always tell when a pitcher's missed their spot if they hit one dead center, because then you know they threw it right over the plate, because most hitters are going to hit it where it's pitched. So, you know, that being said, I just think our mindset to it has been we don't swing at a lot of bad pitches. We're very disciplined, and again, we're just I think we're just hitting the ball really well since the Mount Pleasant game. So we're going to see, you know, where it goes. I feel confident in the offensively the way we're doing things, and I feel like you have Bailey. We have we have pitching. We have people that are very capable of getting it done. So you know, that being said, well, Tuesday it's all or nothing. But that's why you play the game. Exciting time.
Yeah, had to be a big moment for you on Tuesday night with that freshman pitching, Addison Cadell, and she really showed that she's big time too. I mean, that was a great pitching effort. Greenville have a scrappy team,
Yeah.
and you know they can hit the ball if you make mistakes, and she really had a no hitter going into the bottom of the sixth
Yeah,
inning,
and you
ended
know,
up a what 3 hitter.
yeah, and Addison wasn't even feeling well, really. She was sick the day before, not feeling good, and I mean, I guess, you know, taking that STAR test too that morning, it just kind of wears on your brain. You know, like I said
Mm.
last week, giving it is wears on my brain. It's just draining sometimes. So I thought she did a really good job of, you know, she wasn't feeling well, but she sucked it up and got after it and competed. And then that's all you can ask from your kids. You know, I can handle a lot of things, but you know, you got to be out there to go compete. And then she was over there and stepped at the plate and stepped up in the circle and did it.
Now, big senior night. This really, I hate to say a special class because that, you know, every class is kind of special in their own way. But this one, a lot of these girls have been together for 4 years, and you know, you've been around them a long time. This is, I hear you say from time to time, going to be a hard one to say goodbye to.
Yeah, I don't even want to start crying now, but it's hard to take away from the other girls on the team because this is, you know, I always talk about years, and this is my 13th, so you know, team 13. You know, there'll never be a team 13 again, and this group as a whole is really special to me, and the senior group, you know, to have 10 seniors, things that I hope they learned a lot from me, but I have learned a lot from them that you can be family, you can get along. There's going to be times that you're not going to agree with everything that's being said or being done, but we've grown over 4 years together. Uh, that to me, the things and life lessons that they've learned over those 4 years, uh, it's pretty special. You know, I've kind of sent out a little questionnaire and asked them what they've learned from the program. You know, what they've gotten out of it and from the seniors, and the the great thing that I was reading that brought a tear to my eyes and made you feel like this is why we do what we do is there's not anyone that talked about softball. They talked about life
Wow.
lessons and how
Wow.
they grow, how they've grown in Christ, how they modeled examples, things that, you know, that they've learned. And that right there, I mean, that means so much to me because that's why we do this. The wins are important, the games are important. You play the game to win, you keep score, but this is going to end. Like I always say that, and I want those girls to learn so much more. And when I was reading those things, I just couldn't. I was really, my heart just, you know, it was great. You know, I ain't gonna lie, I was reading them crying because that's why you do what you do, and that's why we do what we do. And I've never done that before. Actually, it's the first time I did that
Yeah.
because I had read a book about three-dimensional coaching, about understanding of why we play the game, what we do. It's not a physical game. It's more your life lessons. What you have to be a model for Christ, and that is going to carry over in the long run. This is all just a game, And I wanted to make sure that that's what they got out of this program, because again, when the last out happens, nobody's going to care about their batting average. Nobody's going to care about how many home runs your kid. Now the memories are great, but what are they going to do from here? What did they learn from here? What seeds are we watering? And then that to me is why we do what we do. And those girls have been great. They have bought into it. They have. I've seen them grow so much in 4 years. Every single one of the girls, I love them as they were my own, and I'm going to really hate to see them go. And again, they're a very special group, but this is also a very special team. So we're very blessed.
Yeah, I was telling Coach Hammack that you had the 10 seniors. Now, he's had maybe 12 and 13 before. He tends to have a senior-laden team, very experienced team. It's hard for freshmen and sophomores to make it onto the Wildcats team. You've been very generous with your freshmen and sophomores. If they've got the ability, you put them up there. And I think this group is a good example. When I think of those freshmen that, the ones that have been there 4 years, they all got a chance when they were freshmen, and they've certainly proved that they belong. Is this the biggest senior class that you can remember?
By far.
Wow. Yeah.
By far.
I always remember 3 or 4 Lady Cats, but boy, this is a huge one. And so everybody come out. This is, really a chance to come out on Tuesday. It's going to be a big senior night, and they'll play for the district championship. That's kind of by the way, but
it's something.
It'll be a great
it is
night.
something. I can't. When I think about these girls coming in 4 years ago, a parent told me, "God, Coach Carrillo, you're going to have a big senior class," and I was thinking in my mind, I'm not going to lie. I was thinking, nah, they'll be about, some won't play. They're not going to want to do roles, because not everybody can play, and not that's what makes this so special to me, because everybody everybody can't be on the field, but I've tried to teach them, it's got to be, you got to give all of yourself, and for the betterment of the team. If you can do that, great things are going to happen, because in our world everybody wants the extrinsic things. They want, what do I get if I get 4 hits? What do I get if I strike out 12? You don't, it's I want something. I want to start. I want this. I want that. But you can get so many values by just sitting back, and everybody can't be out there, but you can get things by being on the bench. You can get things by being a pinch runner. You can get things by being the designated player. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a role, and your role may not be as significant in your mind, but in my mind, it is huge. It is huge, because the hardest thing is to buy into a system and be selfless, and the hardest thing is to buy into a system and be that servant leader, be a giver. And if you can sit there and do that, then you quit worrying about yourself and you worry about how can I give to others, and your life's a lot more better. And that's what this team, I think, is all about. They are givers. They are servant leaders. They have servant hearts, and they're going to try to find and help the people that need it, because no one's perfect. Trust me, you go through a whole year with girls and boys too. I'm not going to be sexist, but either one on a team, there are things that happen, problems that arise, and things that you may not like what your sister does, but you have to be a team of grace and be forgiving, and you go on. Tell them why it's wrong. You go on. Hey, we need to pick it up. That's why you go on. But again, it's part of being a family, and this part is special. I want them to go back and look back 10 years from now and go, man, what a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. And that's the way, in our program, our the coaches that I have, Coach V, Coach Dorner, Coach DeLorge, we try to make it fun like that, and that's what we try to do. And I think they bought into it, and that's why we play, and that's why our program's been special over all these years.
And I think you mentioned the life lessons, and that's what they got out of it, and that's great. But in most levels of sports, again, it's not the home runs, it's not the batting average, it's not RBIs and all that. It's hey, boy, the bus ride we had coming back from the game at Mount Pleasant or something. It's just, wow, that was so funny.
Yeah,
that's the kind of
that is. We still talk about the trip where our bus broke down in Allen, and there was only 6 people left, and it was like a survival, because everybody was gone. We were the only one there. We went and watched some soccer and kind of piddled around, got stuck for a little while, and we were kind of joking around, thinking if we were on an island, we would probably eat you first, because you're the one that, we would see who was losing it. It was just a fun thing. We still talk about it a little bit and joke around about it. But those things, yeah, those are fun. Just like you said, the bus rides, when you go out to eat, or people in practice falling down on their faces because they tripped over a piece of grass, or things like that. Those are the big things. The games are great too, but like I said, this just every moment that you get, the journey is what's fun. And like I said, a lot of people don't look at it like that anymore, and that's what's sad, because to have the love of the game, you have to totally love the game unconditionally, the good and the bad. And that's what I try to teach those kids, because coaching, trust me, you've got to love it and unconditionally, because there is good and there is bad, and you got to love what you do. But I again, if I would put my stuff on, I always tell them it's not about me. I'll do this for them. If I was counting up, just you count up in wins, or you live on the scoreboard, you're going to be miserable. Your life is going to be miserable. What life lessons can we learn today? That's what I always think about, and how can you give to others? And that's what I think about, and I think our kids do that too. So that's what makes it a special group. But it's been like that throughout the 13 years that I've been here. All those girls, I even tell them, the girls that don't even play, there'll always be Lady Cats. I don't care if you were in that program for one day or 4 years, you'll always be a Lady Cat. And anyone that I see, and I treat them as one. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. And big week coming up, and best of luck with Lady Tigers and Lady Tigers.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That's going to do it for this Saturday. Still probably raining outside, but I hope everybody stayed nice and warm for the last 40 minutes or so for the Coaches Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Don Julian. So long, everybody.